This is very exciting. You just have been given an account, whether it was something that just had the bare bones, which I don't ask anybody to pay anything for, or some other account that might have AI voice and AI interactions, reputation management, a few different items that I offer, which is pretty robust. When you get to that point, reach out to me and I will be able to hook everything up for you. But at this time, this is where you're going to enter. This is going to be basically in the HonorElevate system where you're going to be coming into. You'll see my logo, HonorElevate. That's the full system. And you're going to access this via the app, which is app.honorelevate.com. There's also an iPhone and also an Android app, which is going to be important for you to actually download. It's called Lead Connector, and it has that particular logo there. And from there, you'll be able to track everything that comes in. Now, if you have one of the free accounts, the email system won't be hooked up, but you will be able to see opportunities, maybe different social media interactions, because you will have access to an automation or a marketing campaign. I'll show you that as well in here. But first things first, so when you get here, just to kind of give you an idea as I move around the screen, you'll be landing on the launch pad. I would definitely want you to connect your Google My Business profile. You'll click on this, and then you'll walk through it. You'll choose your particular email here, of course, and then move through that process. So having done that, the next thing then I would have you do, after you connect that, it'll show connected. And then, of course, I would also click on Facebook. The web chat widget, you won't have access to it, but you'll be able to do, you'll be able to do whichever ones are not hidden here. So you can click on these. WhatsApp, if you're into that, you can connect that as well. And again, WordPress, that's a blog, but I wouldn't be concerned with that. If we haven't had that discussion, you don't have to click through on it. Now on your dashboard here, you'll see these are going to be interactions that you will have while you're on the system. Whenever leads and stuff come in, you'll see these here. There's a lot more detailed here, so you really don't have to mess with it. Opportunities is really where you'll be looking in the future for different interactions. They will pop in here. Conversations as well. Somebody responds to something you put out there, then they'll be coming in here. The next thing, after you hook up the Google Business, I want you to please set up a calendar. So you come in here to calendar settings, and then there are some calendars in here. I would take this active one right here, and then I would click on the edit calendar, and then I would just customize it for you. So as you're here, then I would put in a logo, and of course it's going to be schedule an appointment with maybe your name, or maybe your name's booking calendar, whatever it may be. Description isn't that important, but this will kind of give you an idea. You can have this integrated with Gmail or Outlook, depending on what you happen to use as your regular calendar. But this is what you would be sharing. This is the system that you would be sharing to be able to put out there in the world and to show people your actual calendar and to be able to offer it. There's lots of things you can do with this. We can embed it into a web page. We can build a form or a funnel in my system and have it go out there. We'll just have to discuss hooking your website up to it. But we'll talk about this whenever we're ready. Your availability is important as well. These are the defaults for the camera, but I know as a real estate agent or business owner, you might want weekends available and so on, so you can choose those. Forms and payment, if you're a real estate agent and you're not selling swag or t-shirts or hats with your logo on it, wouldn't that be nice? If you're not doing that or selling anything else besides getting commission checks through the real estate company, then I wouldn't be panicked or worried about this one, so I would just leave it. And then this is where you're going to be notified as far as what's happening. So somebody books an appointment, so on your calendar, then how you're going to get notified. I would make sure that you're not going to get an email. You're going to have the app checked in. If you have one of the paid for plans, then of course you'll get it in your email. You'll get notified that way. There's a very minor cost per email. It's like 0.002, like a 1/100th of a penny. It's very inexpensive, but again, it requires a wallet to be established on your end as well. So, but the calendar is great. The connections here, this is where you would potentially link your external calendar. So you would click here to set up maybe a Google Calendar if you have a Gmail, or set up an Outlook calendar here. And customizations, again, not much to worry about here, but again, that would be your calendar, and then we would change the name of it, of course. But that's a good first step. The other options here on this particular page, the next thing, so you're here on this page, go down to settings. It's down here on the bottom left. And then here you're going to want to click on business profile, which is going to pop up. And here's where you're going to put your stuff. If I've kind of built it out for you, sent you a password, this is probably going to have some of the information in it. The legal business name potentially is going to be your name in real estate. If you have a DBA or something else that you've actually registered, that's what would go in there. If you have an EIN number, which corresponds to your business, that's the stuff that the brokers use. It's where the tax people modify or monitor different things for businesses. You can also add that here, but you want that business name to match. And that's later on. Let's say you want to get artificial intelligence, a voice system that answers calls and texts and even initiates those types of things. This is, we would want to make sure that matches, because in order to get a valid local number, we would have to have it be approved by the A2P system, and that takes a few days, if not maybe a little bit longer. And it is a bit tricky. I set all that stuff up for my clients. We select a custom number. I think it's $1.50 to get the number per month to actually have it, and then SMS messages are less than a penny and those sorts of things. But anyway, that's what that requires to set up. But we'll work on that later. You know, your business name, whatever that may be, probably your first and last name, your email, business phone. If you happen to have a domain, great. Typically in this, if your domain's already working, we would probably just create a subdomain. So instead of www.yourname.com or whatever your domain name is, we would probably make it blog.whatever your URL is.com or whatever. The first 3 digits before that first period or that first decimal point, if you will, they are the subdomain. So you see all sorts of different ones. Trading.connormciver.com, info.connormciver.com, whatever it may be. We can set that up to be blog if what you're here to do is get a blog set up and also get the calendar set up. Under your profile here, you will put the information. You'll want to make sure that the information here is correct as well. Again, that email, that two-way sync, so if somebody does book a calendar appointment on the calendar that you create here, or I help you create here, then they'll come into your regular calendar. So then you'll be able to see that somebody did book an appointment. Depending on how you get notifications on that platform, it works, so you don't really need the email notifications at this time, as long as you have an external calendar. And if you don't, then you just have to check back. And also, when a lead comes in here, you turn on your notifications. If somebody books an appointment, and it'll pop on your phone as long as you have all those turned on. I have everything turned off, but anyway, that's my thing. So you set up all this here, and then moving into the billing area. This would be if we discussed it and you were going to like have the email hooked up for free. There's no charge from me to that, but it costs a little bit of money to send out emails. Like I said, that 0.002 or whatever it is per email. It's like you could send like hundreds of emails for a dime. That's what it is. But it requires there to be a payment method on file. It's basically a wallet. And whenever the wallet gets down to a certain level, then it recharges another $10 or $20, whatever that is. If we haven't discussed that yet and you're interested in that, reach out to me and I'll explain it. If you have a staff, people that work for you, you can plug them in here. This is of course a fake account that I put together, but you can also add staff members here and also give them particular permissions. If we haven't talked about this, let's talk about them about this. More than likely they'll all be users, not admins, so they can't get in there and change any of your fancy stuff. And then of course here you can give them various permissions. You're going to see some of these turned on and some turned off. More than likely, if you're on the free system from me, you're not going to have AI agents, because that costs money to use and so on, but at least you get the idea. And you can set these up for your staff. So if you have a buyer's agent or somebody that works for you, they'll be able to come into this system and look at the leads and take care of those as well. Opportunities and pipelines, that's advanced stuff, but definitely something that we can talk about in the future. The biggest thing here at the beginning, after you go through, and I'm going to click back on settings and go back to the previous page, after you get your name and stuff and all that stuff dialed in and set up, if I haven't done it already, Then we're going to come down to the next thing, which is going to be marketing. You're going to want to add all your social media sphere. So your calendar, the calendar that I give you, it's like a Calendly, and you saw there were several. You can make a whole bunch. And you can have them connect with you via the app. If you have email turned on, then they'll communicate that way. If you have the SMS feature turned on, if that's something we talked about, you can have it communicate with you by text message as well. Also clients, so it's a back and forth system all the way through. Here, this is where you're going to set up all your social media. And this is going to be competing with Hootsuite or Sprout Social. And those are expensive platforms, $100, $200 a month. And they don't have as many different channels that you can add here. You can pretty much add as many as you want to each of these different icons. So just make sure you're logged into your account somewhere in your browser, and the same browser you're accessing this, accessing, and then you'll click on this, and then you'll just choose which pages you want to have connected. If you have a main Facebook page, let's say that's the one where you talk to everybody on, it's not going to connect to a main page. You're going to have to build a business page in Facebook to have it work. Instagram, all of them. Google My Business, super important. I've been talking a lot lately about Bing. If you're watching this and haven't got your Bing business switched on, you need to find that. When you do pull that, I did a blog post at Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence /blog. Or if you just go to Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence, click on the blog on the top, look for the Bing update so you can sign on with that. It allows you to take and connect your Google My Business profile as you move over to Bing. And the reason why this is important, this is just a little extra here. Bing's very important now because it's owned by Microsoft. Microsoft's in bed with OpenAI. OpenAI is owned by ChatGPT connection, right? So it's going to want to communicate or pull that data from there. Probably not going to get a lot from Google. It's going to go to Microsoft to get that information. So if you're not there and people are using ChatGPT to do some kind of an inquiry about your business, you're not going to be present. You need to be on there. So it's free. Just go. Make sure you find that right link. I think it's business.bing.com. I think, but just verify that link because there's a lot of scams even on that page. I was noticing when I was just asking to try to find that particular thing from even Microsoft's engine, it was giving me a lot of crap up at the top all the way down. So I had to scroll down past the fold, which is more than halfway, non-visible section of the page to actually see, being the other ones were paid for ads by Yelp, and some others were on there. Anyway, make sure you have the right one. If your business isn't there, then you want to register it. If you do have a Google My Business page, which is going to be, you have to have that. Wherever your business is, you need that. You're also going to need Bing. Those are two big, heavy players. And then we'll talk about later using this marketing tab and updating. As you can see, everything it does here. I did build an app to have info generated whenever a site updates on a particular page, creating an RSS feature through Replit. I have that publicized in my blog as well. So if what I'm saying makes sense to you, then this is an easy way to have automatic updates done on your social media platforms by things that you publish, like your blog and everything else. So that's cool also. So it's fantastic. And you can go through here and look at all these different links. Some are going to work. The emails, if it's activated, it's going to give you an idea what happens here and how to work it. And again, this is just sample data, but it will cover this if you do have the email feature, if we've talked about it, and you have it turned on. But here you do want to connect every social media platform that you have and that's related to your business. And if you have multiple businesses, then we'll have to talk about how to getting you another account for that type of business, because really it's one and done for each individual one. All right. So here's the different workflows, automations. These are things that we can discuss. I put these together for businesses where basically something occurs, whether it's somebody from Facebook makes a communication with you, and then it kicks off this particular workflow, that being the trigger, and then it comes down, it does certain things. It might send them a booking form. It might recap their discussion with a chatbot if you happen to have that feature, and so on. But it's basically a seamless approach to communicating to that particular client, the one that reached out, and it does it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Whether it's sick or not, it does it. So what happens is the AI system, if you have that enabled, and we've talked about it, That's what's going to be taking care of this and nurturing. If that person that reached out just had a general question, the AI is going to be able to find the answer from the data that we uploaded from you. I go through that whole Q&A with you, get all the facts. I reference different things you happen to have online. I do a lot of blogging, so I have just a whole bunch of data in my system. Hopefully you have stuff like that. If not, I'll walk you through on the preparation of Google Docs so I can use those particular share links in the training of the different AI modules. We get the AI chatbot or the AI voice, so you can have those do your answering for you, and it's going to answer just like you would answer. It's going to give just as much information as you want it to give. It's not going to get into the weeds or get out crazy with this. If you want to talk about discussions that are kind of off topic, it's not going to allow you. They have to be in line with your company, so we need to make sure that there's no trouble created here by having those systems put into place. That's why I train them, test them, have you test them, have you check them, and have you run through it before we actually make them live for the world to see. But they're fantastic. But this is what would come as a result of the workflow. So this goes through and it gives all these different options, and it does SMS verify appointments. It puts people into an email nurture. It'll do a voicemail drop here. It will connect a call. Let's say somebody talks to the AI chatbot and says, you know what, either they get frustrated, and I can have the chatbot identify frustration, or they say, I really want to talk to somebody. I really want to talk to a human being. Then that system says stand by, and then it'll actually ring your cell phone. It's just crazy the way that the world works. All right, so there's that. So that's the automation workflows. Again, not necessary that you mess with it. Here's the sites. There's going to be some potentially here for you. It depends on how I set up the account. But with back at the marketing real quick, you'll see there's nothing hooked on here. But once we get one of these put, you can actually, because there's no social accounts, but you can actually set up after you get a social account set up, I have many templates for different things that you can post related to whatever business you're in. If you're a plumber, you can have a lot of different plumbing social media shares with cool pictures and information that might keep people safe with regard to, making sure their plumbing stays in top-notch order. Same thing with electricians, beauticians, gym trainers, local trainers, real estate agents, all that. So I have all those built in as well that you'll have access to once you just activate something in here, and then it'll go out and it'll start posting on your behalf. You can have it scheduled, you can do all sorts of stuff. So go through this, check it out. If you have questions, let me know. All right, what I do there, automation sites. This is good. This is where you would set up your blog. You click on the blog if you want to create a blog site. Now, in order to make this work, it's going to have to be connected to a website. I'll walk you through that. And the website is going to be something we'll have to get hooked up depending on, what it happens to be, what the name of your website happens to be, but we'll go through and we'll put it together. If you have GoDaddy or something of that nature, then it will, then we'll be able to get that hooked up. And there's a few things you can do. You can purchase a domain name. I'm competitive, I think, with everybody else out there, $10-11 for a year. You can transfer one in. That's cool too. Or just connect it. There's a lot of people out there scamming people. So if somebody's asking you to connect your domain name, just be wary. Make sure you know who they are. Hopefully, if we've talked before, you know that I'm local. I have a real address, and I live here in Santa Clarita Valley. But if you are, going to trust somebody in another country to do this for you, that's cool too. Just be wary. Once they get access into, let's say, your GoDaddy account or wherever you happen to have that domain name registered, if you give them that kind of permission, they can go in there, change the password. It's just a mess to try to get access to that back. And if you have a really good domain name, they could sell it out from under you. There'd be a lot of problems trying to get them on the hook legally. But here, this is where we do this. We'll connect a domain. More than likely, we'll probably connect it for a funnel, website, blog, or webinar. We'll click there, and then whatever your domain name happens to be, we'll go here, and then we'll go through and we'll make a determination as to how we want the domain name to be. If it's going to be primarily because it's not anywhere else, let's say yourname.com, that's great, or we can go blog.yourname.com, make it a subdomain, and then use that as the main system for your blog. And then once you get it, then I'll walk you through how to actually use it. But that's that process. So that's a lot of the reasons why people come to me, at least to kind of feel this out. This does have AI integration. It's just that's a paid for service, and the rest of this stuff does not. Some of the things that are out there, these communities, big deal. This is really starting to be something huge. You can create your own community in here. Maybe if you have a specific neighborhood in real estate, maybe some kind of a plumbers group or an update about plumbers. Maybe people just love plumbing. I know people love food. If you happen to be a restaurant owner or some kind of caterer, or people love, beauty stuff with hair and makeup and nails and all that. These are great groups to make. Plumbers, I don't know if there's a big following for plumbers, but again, hey, it's here. You can access it. You can put it together. It's not complicated either. And then you can also offer courses. There's ways to enable this to also make money from this. That's another option. That's something more of a paid for thing, but anyway, you have access to it. So really, HonorElevate.com, this app.HonorElevate.com. One-stop shop. I put everything together here as I was building this out. And I hope you enjoy it. Let's see, reputation. That's something else. Once you put this together, this is also an add-on system, but it's something that you can have AI implementing reviews about your business. So maybe you've dropped the ball on that. You've had a lot of clients, but you haven't had anybody actually review you, or maybe your reviews are horrible. There are ways just to maybe kind of get a pre-idea of what somebody's going to respond before I actually have them review you, and then fix that if it's at a particular point. If it's too low, there's probably nothing you're going to be able to do, but I have an AI system that reaches out and takes care of that stuff. Also, I have a resurrection campaign. Again, this is all extra, but if you have a massive client list, putting you back into touch with all of them through automation and using artificial intelligence. And then if anybody in that particular group becomes active again, or has some kind of an interest in your product or what you're offering, maybe they've just been thinking about it but haven't reached out for a while because they thought you didn't love them anymore, or whatever it may be. But now all of a sudden they see that you're connecting with them maybe a few times. Maybe they'll start to refer business. That's a great system, and it is all AI generated. I just have to, set it up. And then once I do, then pretty much it starts to work, and people have had very good results. As far as reporting goes, this is something else. This is something that we can look at as far as what's happening. If you happen to have a large team with you, all of those people get added, and we can see exactly what they've been doing metrically as far as how they've been performing for your company, what they've been doing. So anybody's dropped the ball and so on, a little bit more advanced, but it's things that people are very much interested in. So that's it. I'm Connor McIver. I hope you've enjoyed just this little brief introduction to HonorElevate.com. You're going to get there through Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence. You'll get there through Santa Clarita AI.com. That's the community. That's my community I set up for artificial intelligence stuff. So it's free to join. Please check that out. But hopefully this helps at least understand, if you did get the login and you did get the introductory email, to understand kind of what that first step looks like. And then if we have had an appointment, great. If we haven't had an appointment, I'm sure that's on my calendar, and you can book anything just by going to Santa Clarita Artificialintelligence.com. You'll see the calendar link up at the top, and I've enjoyed presenting to you, and if you have any questions, reach out to me and you can find out more. The blog is awesome. I'm not trying to be that guy, but I do a lot of content there. I talk a lot about artificial intelligence, and it's moving so rapid, but there's so many cool things that it does help in business. And if you're not implementing it in your business, your competition will be, and it just seems to be the flavor of the day. It's really going to work, and work well. So let me know when you're ready. We'll have that talk, and I will do my best to guide you through the process. I try to make time for everyone. All right, Connor with Honor. We will see you in the next one, and thanks for watching. Take care.